God is my provider. He's my family's provider. I know that he's going to provide because he is faithful. So I've been married for about 12 years, and man, when we first got married, my wife and I, we were on cloud nine. We are college sweethearts. We got married right out of college. It was awesome. We got our first apartment together. We were not making a lot of money to begin with, and we made a pact with each other. We were not crazy people per se. We were responsible, and we would say, okay, we're going to save this much, and we're going to live on this much. And situations kind of happened, circumstances, seen, unforeseen, decisions we made that were great, that were bad. It played into all of a sudden our income getting really tight, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden had unexpected medical bills to pay, and then we found ourselves in a little bit of a debt corner, if you will, and we just found ourselves so behind on our payment. Our pride got in the way, and we didn't want to tell anybody. We didn't want to tell her family, and we just didn't say a word to anybody. And we found ourselves with a baby coming on the way, and we were really feeling the pinch of needing a financial miracle, if you will. So we made the choice to pay for our house, but that means that there were times where we were just going to have to go hungry, weeks at a time. And my wife and I, as active volunteers, sometimes we would go to our youth group and we'd find the leftover cereal or the Pop-Tarts, and we would use that as our meals for the day and for the rest of the week. And man, we were just really struggling. And as a man, it was so hard, because it's one thing to know that you are going hungry, but it's another thing to know that the person that you love more than anything in the world is also hungry, and there's nothing you can do about it. We tried looking different avenues for different incomes, and nothing was panning out. My marriage was built on my relationship to God, and I felt like I served. I'd given him everything, and I didn't understand why I was backed into a corner right now, and I just couldn't find a way out. We had so much debt. Our credit cards were racked up. We had car payments, mortgage, and I just did not see a way out. 1 week at the Refuge, it was the first time that we were here, and of course we ran into Pastor Jay in the auditorium. He was just introducing himself to us, and he offered to pray over us, and my wife just caved and just told him everything, and she was crying, and man, it was really embarrassing to stand there. But Pastor Jay, man, he just grabbed our hands and prayed over us, and man, the Lord through him spoke to us and said, hey, breakthrough's coming. And Pastor Jay said, hey, I'm declaring that by midnight of the end of the year, you guys will be debt free. That was enough hope for what we were going through, because our situation was so dire. And I remember getting into an argument in the sanctuary that we're sitting in right now with my wife, saying, this is the problem with Christians. They just give you false hope. They hide behind a God who says he can provide, but nothing pans out. My logical mind does not tell me how we're going to get out of this, and I don't know why you're chasing this. This makes no sense to me. And I got in a big argument, like literally walk into the parking lot, and she just looked at me before we got in the car. I'll never forget it. And she said, where is the man that I married, who was so in love with God, who knows he can provide through any circumstance? And that kind of rung in my soul for a second. And I said, well, if your faith says God's going to do so, I'm with you. And so I got in the car, we drove home. And can I tell you, it's not even my faith. It was the faith of my wife, the power of a praying wife in that scenario, that really kind of kept me grounded, but who kept encouraging me. My wife had found an opportunity with a company that was starting out in the city, and she took the job, and they had put in a couple requests that she would move closer to the job, and so that actually forced us to sell the house we were in. And sometimes fear makes you want to hold on to things close to the things that you feel would provide stability, but all these things are finite. And it was a big lesson for me. And we ended up putting the house on the market, and the house eventually sold for way more money for no reason. It wasn't a bidding war. It was just two people who just said the Lord told them to do so. They had already had the money. They just wanted to bless us. The amount of money that we gained from the house was able to pay off all of our credit cards, our cars. And I can't believe I'm saying this right now, because we got out of our house. We were living in an apartment at the time, and we just got out of debt like that. And I completely forgot. I'd completely forgotten the word that I'd received. At midnight, I was about to watch the ball drop on New Year's Eve, and I was trying to pay off the last bill. And as the ball dropped, Wendy looked at me and said, just like the word we had received. Immediately I knew it was the grace of God that had pursued me, that had followed me, even in my unbelief. Even in my lack of understanding, God provided. I didn't understand how we had gotten there. And when you look back, it's overwhelming. And I walked into a brand new year debt-free, and I just couldn't believe it. But God is my provider. He's my family's provider. I know that He's going to provide because He is faithful. In every season, no matter how hard it gets, His promises are true, that we're never alone, and He's going to be faithful, and He's going to provide.